From its inauguration in 2017, the Trump administration embarked on a path to reshape America's domestic and international standing. President Trump's policies were often unconventional, sparking both fervent support and widespread criticism. This essay will delve into 5 key areas of his first-term policies: trade, energy, foreign policy, defense, and veterans affairs. By examining these policy decisions and actions, we can gain a clearer understanding of their intended goals and ultimate impacts. The Trump administration's approach was characterized by a focus on America First principles. This approach prioritized American interests and sovereignty in international agreements and economic policies. The administration also emphasized deregulation and economic growth, seeking to reduce the regulatory burden on businesses and stimulate job creation. In the realm of trade, President Trump adopted a protectionist stance. He argued that existing trade deals disadvantaged American workers and businesses. To address these concerns, he imposed tariffs on goods from countries like China, renegotiated trade agreements like NAFTA, and actively pursued bilateral trade deals. These actions were aimed at reducing trade deficits and protecting American jobs, but they also sparked trade tensions with key economic partners. The energy sector also saw significant shifts under the Trump administration. Promoting American energy independence was a cornerstone of the administration's agenda. This involved rolling back environmental regulations, promoting fossil fuel production, and withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement. The administration argued that these measures would boost the American economy and reduce reliance on foreign energy sources. However, these decisions were met with strong opposition from environmental groups. President Trump's foreign policy was marked by a departure from traditional alliances and a more assertive approach to international relations. One of his most significant decisions was withdrawing the United States from the Iran nuclear deal, arguing that it was flawed and did not serve American interests. He also imposed sanctions on Iran, aiming to pressure the country into renegotiating the agreement. In the defense realm, the Trump administration prioritized increasing military spending, modernizing the armed forces, and taking a hard line against adversaries like China and Russia. The administration argued that these measures were necessary to maintain American military superiority and deter potential aggression. Recognizing the sacrifices of veterans was a key focus of the Trump administration. One notable achievement in this area was the passage of the VA Accountability Act, which made it easier to fire or demote employees at the Department of Veterans Affairs who were deemed to be underperforming or engaging in misconduct. The administration also expanded access to telehealth services for veterans, particularly those in rural areas. These initiatives aim to improve the quality of care and support provided to veterans across the country. The Trump administration's impact on veterans affairs was significant, particularly in terms of accountability and access to care. While the effectiveness of these reforms continues to be debated, they reflect a commitment to addressing the needs of veterans and improving their overall well-being.
From Jobs to Justice. The Trump Era Examined. Chapter 1. Economic Growth. Economic growth during the Trump administration. A study of the 4.2% growth in the second quarter of 2018. The Trump administration, which began in January 2017, implemented various economic policies that aim to stimulate growth and enhance the overall economy of the United States. One notable economic achievement during this time was the reported 4.2% growth in gross domestic product, GDP, in the second quarter of 2018. Upon taking office, President Trump emphasized an America First approach, prioritizing domestic production and job creation. His administration introduced significant tax cuts, particularly through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. This policy aimed to incentivize businesses to invest in the domestic economy, rather than relocate operations overseas. Additionally, Trump implemented deregulatory policies targeting various sectors, intending to reduce bureaucratic hurdles for businesses. The combination of these measures created an environment conducive to economic expansion. The 4.2% annualized GDP growth in the second quarter of 2018 was a significant milestone for the Trump administration. This figure was particularly notable, as it marked one of the fastest growth rates since 2014. Several factors contributed to this impressive growth. First, consumer spending played a crucial role. The Consumer Confidence Index had reached a 17-year high during this period, indicating widespread positive sentiment among consumers. Increased consumer optimism led to greater spending, which directly impacts GDP. In the second quarter, consumer spending increased by 4%, driven by lower unemployment rates and wage growth. Moreover, business investments surged in response to the administration's tax reforms. The changes encouraged companies to invest more in equipment and software, leading to robust business investment growth. In fact, non-residential fixed investment rose by 7.3% that quarter. This growth indicated that businesses were confident in the economic climate and were willing to expand operations and make significant capital investments. Additionally, government spending contributed positively to GDP growth. The federal government increased its expenditures, particularly on defense and infrastructure projects. The increase in government spending is a critical component of GDP and bolstered overall economic activity during this period. While the growth rates were impressive, it is important to consider inflation's impact during this time. The inflation rate fluctuated around the targeted 2%, which indicated that rising prices were managed effectively. The Federal Reserve, under Chairman Jerome Powell, maintained a cautious approach, gradually raising interest rates in response to the strong economic performance. This approach aimed to prevent the economy from overheating, while ensuring that inflation remained in check. Trade policies implemented by the Trump administration also significantly impacted the economic landscape. The administration renegotiated key trade agreements and imposed tariffs on several countries, including China. The goal was to protect American industries and reduce trade deficits. However, these tariffs led to concerns among businesses about rising costs and retaliatory tariffs from affected countries. By the second quarter of 2018, the trade deficit had begun to widen, indicating that while growth was strong domestically, trade tensions could jeopardize future expansion. Employment levels during the first term of the Trump administration reflected a positive trend. The unemployment rate fell to around 3.8% by mid-2018, indicating that a robust labor market contributed to overall economic growth. Lower unemployment increases consumer confidence, as more individuals enter the workforce, driving consumer spending. This cycle of increasing employment, leading to greater spending, played a vital role in sustaining the 4.2% growth rate in the second quarter. The booming job market attracted significant attention, especially as wages began to rise, which provided further impetus for consumer spending.